Hello, race fans. This is Trace Ali, and for the second time this year, the HAV-A-TAMPA Dirt Racing Series has returned to a great racetrack, perhaps the fastest racetrack on the entire schedule in 1996. Pat Manette and Pat Jr., owners of the racetrack, have worked extra hard to make sure that this setting is the perfect one to show off the big speed and the big power of the HAV-A-TAMPA Race Series cars. Of course, the saga continues with a points battle between Scott Bloomquist and Freddie Smith. Scott, trying to be a three-peat winner for the first time in the history of the series, has his work cut out for him to stay ahead. But Bart Hartman won the original race here earlier this season when the HAV-A-TAMPA Series first arrived. He has a lot to say about it as he sits on the pole tonight. And there are 10 other drivers at least that could mix up the whole thing, and we'll find out more as we talk to them now.
You know, with the competitors, Scott and Freddie and Steve are, and the rest of the guys that are here tonight, it's, you know, I started 13th last time, and you never know what can happen down here, so we're going to make a few adjustments today, try it in hot laps, see if we can make it a little bit better and go from there.
I think we might gamble a little bit and maybe go just a little softer than everybody else. And I think the track, I've raced her quite a bit on regular shows, and I think it might seal over and get more or less maybe a one groove later on. And I think you need to make your move early, and I think if the car stays in there, you can hold your own towards the end of the race. So that's what we're going to do.
This racetrack's changed a great deal from the first few times I raced here in the early 90s. It was wet and heavy most of the time and 3 to 4 seconds a lap faster than it is now, and awfully hard on the car. You know, the smoother, harder, slicker surface is a lot easier on the race car. It demands a little more of a driver and a little more of a setup, but all in all, it should be a better race for the fans.
That saga, as we mentioned earlier, between Scott Bloomquist, trying to three-peat as the winner of the HAV-A-TAMPA Dirt Racing Series National Championship this year, is faced with the efforts of Freddie Smith, the legend, they call him, the gentleman legend of racing. He's got over 700 wins. He offers experience and savvy way beyond the years of nearly anyone he ever faces on a racetrack. But Scott Bloomquist is also the young gun with over 300 wins that's become the talk of the entire country about how to run today in dirt track late model racing.
Well, you know, Freddie has been running good, and you know, I can't take that away from him. I think Freddie would feel a lot better if he could win the championship this year without help from the tower. But, you know, still, he's run good, and hopefully, you know, we'll continue this point lead and continue out and win this championship even after the deficit they put us through. We acknowledge and respect each other, and that's what I try to do with a lot of drivers. It takes a while to earn my respect, and he has some respect for me. And there's a number of drivers that have it, and he's been around a long time, and he races hard, and I respect that. So, you know, we've had a lot of good races together. We can race together tremendously well and stay off of each other, and I hope to see that happen again tonight.
Scott Bloomquist definitely stands at the front of his class and represents the modern vanguard of today's dirt late model racing. But experience like that of Freddie Smith has caught up with today's technology and makes him very competitive.
Technology is coming to this racing deal. Years ago, we didn't use it like this, so we used the air more than did anything, because it had bigger bodies and bigger spoilers. We didn't have to use these springs and shocks like we are now. The handling that is coming in effect on this deal here is so great, it's unreal. It's hard to really explain how much it is coming in effect on it.
Do people talk to you about the comparison, the fact that you've got so many wins, so much experience, and Scott is kind of on the leading edge of the new technologies, a different guy from a different generation, the two of you battling out, though, neck and neck, toe-to-toe?
Well, you know, Scott's probably been running for 17, 18 years. I don't know how long, but he's been running longer than people think he has been running. But he's really hard to beat, good race car driver, and so we're just going to stay at him and see if we can't gain a little bit more points on him.
Scott Bloomquist, Freddie Smith, two entirely different types of race car drivers on the opposite ends of the pole, both in experience and wisdom, yet both extremely successful in today's dirt track late model racing. It's about time. The United National Bank 100 set to get underway as the HAV-A-TAMPA Dirt Racing Series has come back to West Virginia Motor Speedway for the second race of the year. Hello, everybody. This is Trace Ali along with Pete Secret. Pete, let's take a look at the lineup starting inside tonight. It's Bart Hartman from Zanesville, Ohio, on the pole in the 75 car. Outside row one with him, it's Steve Shaver, one of the local favorites, certainly. He's in the 30 car from Parkersburg, West Virginia. Inside row number two, it's the 00 car of Freddie Smith from Knoxville, Tennessee, currently second in the HAV-A-TAMPA Series Racing points, and giving Scott Bloomquist, who sits on the outside, quite a race for the money right now in the 18 car. Scott Bloomquist from Mooresburg, Tennessee.
Well, row 3 finds Gar Dixon in the car number 60 out of Flintstone, Georgia, aboard the Barry Wright chassis. Embracing him on the outside will be the 6M in the Mundy Trucking GRT car of Wendell Wallace out of Arkansas. Row number 4, it'll be the black number 5, second-generation driver, Chattanooga, Tennessee, Ronnie Johnson. And on the outside of row number 4, second-generation driver, also Rockbridge, Bath, Virginia, driving the 00B in a rocket chassis. They call him Super Booper, Booper Bear.
That's a fun name to play with, yes. Row number 5 inside, it's Michael Smith from Mineral Wells, literally 2 miles from the racetrack is where he calls home, and the S1 car. Outside row 5, it's the 31 car of Skip Arp. Inside row 6, Clint Smith, 1993 HAV-A-TAMPA Series champion in the 1S car. Outside, it's Scott Hartley in the 32 car from Ravenswood, West Virginia.
Row 7, it'll be the chauffeur out of Arkansas, the 66V of Johnny Verdon. Outside of him, out of the Keystone State of Pennsylvania, Greensburg, Pennsylvania's Davey Johnson in the 1J. Row 8, it'll be Bub McCool out of Tennessee. In car number 10, out of Coolville, Ohio, it'll be Larry Bond.
Inside row number 9, Jeff Wood in the 34 car. Kenny Compton outside in the 10C car. He's out of Beckley, West Virginia. Inside row 10, it's Ray Cook in the 53 and Kevin Claycomb in row 10.
Row number 11 will be Lee J. Haddix in the 98. Steve Warren will be in the 14W in row number 11. Row number 12 finds Kenny Merchant in the C28 and Jason Manette, local driver, in the 21M. The last row in row number 13, it'll be also out of Ohio, the 10 car of Larry Bond and Jay Summers in the 21S.
Jerry Summers out of Salem, Alabama, having a tough go of it so far, the last 3 or 4 races, but definitely earning his stripes as the HAV-A-TAMPA Dirt Racing Series has returned to West Virginia Motor Speedway. Bart Hartman was the winner of the original race in May here and put on a blistering show on this particular racetrack, just scaring everybody and winning very, very well. He's going for $15,000 tonight, but that second row sitting behind him now as we get ready to line them up and go super fast here at West Virginia Motor Speedway is of course, the huge pairs of some of the biggest guns in town, the 00 Freddie Smith and the 18 car of Scott Bloomquist. They'll come to the white lines. The start begins with Bart Hartman. The green flag is out. Gary Stoller turns them loose. HAV-A-TAMPA Racing Series launches high-speed competition at West Virginia Speedway as they go into turn 1, 3 and 4 wide. The 5 car goes spinning sideways and back around, a 180 with Ronnie Johnson, and that immediately brings out the caution flag before the race can even really get a good start here tonight.
Well, looking at Ronnie Johnson, his car kept rolling, but it looks like Johnson's car, checking out the damage, is okay. Johnson will be able to continue, but almost tough break for the Tennessee driver.
Yeah, that's not the way to start a race, and unfortunately that's going to reposition him in the starting lineup again. Still 100 laps to go. They're going to try to bring him back to a double wide start once again. Gary Stoller and the guys working there on the flag stand are giving them the old 2-by sign, trying to get them back into order, trying to get a little bit of the friction out of the air. Everybody is sort of like a thoroughbred workhorse at this point, trying to go super fast and get right out there and go after it, Pete. They want to start this race so badly. Freddie Smith and Scott Bloomquist have points battles on their minds, but they also have win on their minds. Freddie Smith won the last HAV-A-TAMPA Series race recently, and Scott Bloomquist is hungry for another one. He had a couple back-to-back here a few weeks ago and doesn't want to be left out ever again. He simply does want to win every single race. Once again, they fire him up, and away we go. Bart Hartman is looking beautiful on our speed shot as they go into turn 1. He's definitely got himself in position to continue down the middle of the racetrack, and 3 wide with Ronnie Johnson inside, the 00, but Freddie Smith coming up on Mr. Shaver. Steve Shaver fighting with Freddie Smith as they go into turn 3, and on the outside, the 2 black cars, the Action Performance race cars, the number 5 car of Ronnie Johnson and Scott Bloomquist. Scott working high on the outside, already trying to run down his teammate and catch up to Freddie Smith, who made it look like he was going to go to the front there for just a few seconds.
Well, Scott wastes no time to go upstairs on this racetrack, and it looks like that may be the slow way around the racetrack, as you see Ronnie Johnson pull away and outrun the teammate of Scott Bloomquist into 3 and 4.
Freddie Smith has the 00 wound up and cutting tight down out of turn 4, and there goes Shaver right on the outside. But it looks like he's finally gone inside him as Bart Hartman continues to just motor away at West Virginia Motor Speedway.
We know Steve Shaver gets around this racetrack real well, and Freddie Smith showing the power to go underneath and take over that second position. Tell you what, Freddie Smith right now here early in this 100-lap event looks like the fastest man on the track right now.
He has definitely made some moves. He started in third, and he's now up to second after getting around Shaver. The two action cars, the number 5 and 18 car of Scott Bloomquist and Ronnie Johnson, ran identical fast lap times last night in qualifying. Right now, they're running 4th and 5th on the racetrack, while the 6M car fights in front of Mr. Michael Smith. We watch Wendell Wallace going into turn 3 out there, also making a move up. He's come up quite a ways, actually. Gar Dixon, who started 5th, continues to run quickly in turn 4. We've got cars trying to stack up, and it looks like one of them slowing down. There goes the 57J car of Bub McCool, who apparently slowed down momentarily in turn 4.
Or Bub McCool now looks like back up to Bart Hartman now. Hartman really starting to put some real estate in between him and the second place car, Freddie Smith. Tell you what, Hartman may be the man to handle here this evening, as he is really about a half a straightaway length lead now over the 00 car, Freddie Smith. Hartman looks like he's going around this racetrack like he is on
Ronnie
rail.
Johnson, look at that in the 5 car. He's holding a higher sideline here on the West Virginia Motor Speedway run. Scott Bloomquist, of course, trying to go around him, and he's staying on the low side. But Ronnie continues to accelerate out of turn 2 very nicely. Seems to have the setup the best at the best level at this point as he comes around turn 4, holding the high side, and even with all the power and equally matched race car of Scott Bloomquist, he continues to motor away.
Well, you know, the two team cars of Bloomquist and Johnson seem to be, they've been running with each other since the drop of the green flag, and Johnson up on the high side, like you said, and Scott Bloomquist down on the low side, and they've got to be making a move to the front here very shortly.
Freddie Smith is coming up on the back markers there. He's chasing down Jerry Summers in the 21 car and going inside the 10 car right now, going down the back straightaway, looking for more daylight and more room to move. He goes inside. We've got 2 cars together there, right in the light. Oh, and we just got the rear end picked off.
It looks like Steve Shaver's one of the cars involved, a local competitor, and a lot of damage to his car. It looks like Mike Smith also, so 2 local drivers involved up in turns number 3.
HAV-A-TAMPA Dirt Track Racing is underway, 15 laps in the books here at West Virginia Motor Speedway. We'll be back with more action in a moment. Vehicles, including the fire safety crews, are out there right now, all centered around the car driven by Steve Shaver from Parkersburg, West Virginia, the 30 car that ran into, it looked like the left rear part of Michael Smith's car when they came flying around that turn on lap 15, and of course all that sliding started. A couple other cars involved at that time, I believe. It was Andy Bond and others that were kind of sliding around on the racetrack. Apparently Shaver thought he was going to get through. He tried to drive through but managed to hit the backside of Michael's car. Both drivers at this moment are apparently being cut out of the car. 10 snips are being used to get Steve out. It apparently is the aluminum in his seat that's kind of wrapped around him. He's not really hurt too badly, apparently, and they're trying to get him out. Michael Smith, however, in the car that got run into, I should say, in the 1S car or S1 car, is complaining of rib damage or some pain in his ribs at this point. Michael Smith in the S1 car, of course, apparently has suffered the worst of it so far. We keep hearing reports on the radios that there may be some rib damage. They've got his neck immobilized right now, and as you can see, that safety crew has climbed up in the car, and they're cutting away, it looks like, part of the roll cage to get him out of there as well. And we're now hearing that Steve Shaver's head has also been immobilized with a neck brace, and he may also have more damage than we thought a little bit earlier.
Looked like Steve was going for the hole. The hole opened up, and then all of a sudden Mike Smith's car drifted up, and the door closed very quickly on Steve. And I think that's, with these speeds of this racetrack, well over 100 miles an hour, I think that's what we're seeing right here.
Yeah, a bad combination of things. No question that everybody's concerned, very concerned. It looked like a slight accident, but in racing, nothing is ever slight when people get hurt. There we see the tow truck bringing the Shaver car around, and obviously now we can see quite a bit of damage to the right front. That right front tire towed in a little bit, Pete. The rest of the car looking pretty beat up there. I would say there's definitely some chassis damage on that right side.
I think the car held up pretty well, but I tell you, probably the hard hit that Steve took really was the culprit of the accident, I would say.
Yeah. The rest of the safety crew out there next to the second ambulance where Michael Smith is on the gurney, and it looks like they're about ready to, again, it looks like they're going to tie him down a little bit more to keep him immobile as much as possible. Been concerned about what condition he's in at this moment, and we still don't know, really. HAV-A-TAMPA officials are trying to find out for us, and our own camera folks are down there looking at it as closely as we can. There's Michael Smith's car on the tow right now, coming in on the back straightaway out of turn 3. And obviously can't see much of the damage since it was on the other side of the car where Shaver's car actually made the contact.
You know, looking at that Mike's car going down the back chute there, I've seen many a times that a lot of wrecks, the cars tore up way worse than looking at Mike Smith's car, but just it's part of the impact, and where the impact was, I think, is where the damage was for both drivers.
We're looking up the front straightaway after a lengthy red flag period here at West Virginia Motor Speedway. We had two gentlemen, Steve Schaefer and Michael Smith, both taken away from the racetrack. Let's take a quick look at our restarting lineup. The Iski Racing Cams up to the moment top 5. Race with the legend, Iski Racing Cams. In first place, of course, it's Bart Hartman, followed by Freddie Smith in second after starting third. Scott Bloomquist is in third. Ronnie Johnson in the 5 car is in fourth. Wendell Wallace is now up to fifth in the 6M. Gar Dixon is sixth. Clint Smith seventh. Johnny Verdon eighth. Booper Bear ninth. And in 10th, it's Bub McCool. That's who we're looking at this particular moment. They're going to bring him around here apparently for a green flag. It'll be up to Bart Hartman to turn it loose. And once again, all 8 cylinders fire as the entire fleet of HAV-A-TAMPA Dirt Racing Series late models blast into turn 1, single file so far, but there's some packing and stacking going on as Bloomquist is going after Smith. That's a battle for sure. Look at the 00, though, squirt ahead there in turn 3 as he chases after Hartman, going a little high, losing a little traction there in 4, and Bloomquist coming right on his tail.
Well, Scott Bloomquist, that talented throttle jockey out of Mooresburg, Tennessee, trying to work on the veteran Freddie Smith. Good racing down into 3 and 4. I tell you, Smith chose the low side this time. He'd been running up on the high side before.
Wendell Wallace is working the low side here on the 5 car of Ronnie Johnson. Wendell Wallace in the 6M. Scott Bloomquist has come back with a vengeance, and so far everybody is trying to move forward. Wendell Wallace making the best show of it as he comes out of turn 4 down the front straightaway inside the number 5 car as Bloomquist tries to hold them both up. There's a good, huge battle going on here as the 6M car stays to the low side and the 5 car with Ronnie Johnson rides the high side. Both equally matched in speed on the back straightaway, Pete, but in the turns they keep playing 2 different lines and come out basically the same when they get to the straightaway.
Well, the 2 grooves showing on this racetrack is Johnson not giving no real estate up. He finally gets ahead going down into turns number 1.
And so far, there hasn't been any major change since we restarted after 3 more laps after the start again. But here's Johnson still battling with Wendell Wallace, now working to the high side to see if maybe the magic is up there for his car. And the 5 car wobbles just ever so slightly in turn 3. You come out of the light in turn 4, and Wendell is down to the low side. Johnny Verdon has now cut inside. It looks like Clint Smith, he has made a pass on Clint Smith, moving himself into 7th apparently, and looking very good coming out of the turn. Wallace continues his battle, Pete, on the inside of the 5 car of Ronnie Johnson. Super speed, both of them continuing to maintain exactly the same line, 1 low, 1 high.
Well, both drivers in the top 5 trying to move up 1 more position, and Wendell Wallace is not giving an inch. Looks like Ronnie Johnson outruns him down the straightaway, but Wendell dives right back underneath of him as he's coming out of turn number 2.
The 14 car is definitely slowing down. We're looking at him out there. That's the Steve Warren car out of Chattanooga, Tennessee. He's on the inside here of turn 4, heading for pit road. Apparently that will not bring out a caution flag as the race continues. Johnny Verdon continues to assert his authority as he has moved ahead of Clint Smith, going down the front straightaway as these cars begin to build the momentum, and the heat of the tires is coming back, so those speeds are going right back up again as we watch them back down the back straightaway.
It looks like Johnny Verdon now finally gets away from Clint Smith. Bart Hartman back out in front. Buddy, he's stretching that lead out.
He's pulling away and, of course, doing all the things right that made this car the talk of the town last night as he won the pole position and just absolutely ran off on the racetrack, left everybody literally eating his dust. Hooper Bear on the outside there with Bub McCool, currently 10th and HAV-A-TAMPA Racing Series points, battling back and forth. Hooper started out slow and seems to be regaining the momentum. We're not quite sure what happened to him. He was on the inside of the front straightaway as we looked at it earlier tonight and having a little problem with the car. But right now, it looks like he's found the distance and the way the setup has to work on this particular racetrack. Going to the low side with McCool right in tow as they pull through turn 2 and continue to accelerate back into the back straightaway. Jerry Summers from Salem, Alabama, the 21 car, tries to stay on the high side, but Davey Johnson, the 1J, has got him locked up so far. But now Summers' car outpowers him down the back straightaway and looks like he might have him on the turn. Bart Hartman still racing way out front in front of everybody. Scott Bloomquist has now inched his way down inside Freddie Smith. Looks like he's got the power move going down the back straightaway, but Freddie Smith is coming back with plenty of horsepower. Again, a little to the high side, holding on. Bloomquist apparently edging ahead just ever so slightly, coming around turn 3 and 4, now down the front straightaway, but Hartman is leaving them both as they continue to battle and try to bump through turn 1, now sliding together in turn 2, staying very quick down the racetrack, but Bloomquist has moved himself into second. Look out, here we go.
Oh, Scott Bloomquist heading to the front of the bus now, has his sights set on the 75 of Bart Hartman, and I tell you, look how quick the Bloomquist putting the distance on Freddie Smith for that second spot.
Did you notice also Bloomquist, when he came out of turn 4, went right up to the wall and just for a moment there got in the cushion, got a little loose, and lost just a little momentum. Ronnie Johnson continues to move steadfastly down the back straightaway, and of course the 6M car with Wendell Wallace pulling very strong behind him. Behind Wendell Wallace, the 66V of Johnny Burton is continuing to become a factor in the race. Back in the 5th and 6th spots is Clint Smith, the former champion, tries to keep up with all of them. Clint has been going slightly slowly backwards here over the last couple of laps. Freddie Smith, very smooth. Look at that double zero. Very quick, very even now. Continues to move and mark pretty much the same line all the way around the racetrack, Pete.
You know, Freddie, very talented. He would like to take $15,000 and make the deposit tomorrow morning and put it in the bank here this evening. He has won a lot of money in West Virginia.
Nationally, I see a couple of the local guys battling away there.
Boy, they've been doing a pretty good job here. There's no doubt about it. Kevin Claycomb, there's Scott Hartley doing a fine job. Whoa, and we got trouble there with Summers.
Jerry Summers.
Scott Hartley got slowed down there a little bit maybe, or Summers picked up the pace a little bit, but they sure did get together.
Somehow they didn't quite agree. They got into a little bit of a tangle there in 2, and that tangle led to this particular stop on the racetrack.
Scott and Freddie in a tough battle here for that points lead, and boy, they're running right together here on the racetrack, so they're continuing the battle right here at every event left. 5 events left in the season, or 4 events left?
Yeah, four events left before we get to the shootout at the end of the year. Bloomquist's car, I thought earlier, was having a few problems, maybe somehow finding the groove that best suits the setup he's got. But Pete, he has pulled around Freddie Smith, who looks super strong and was actually chasing down Bart Hartman a couple of times.
You know, he sure was, and everybody knew that this team with Barry Wright would gel when they got together last year, and it did. No surprise to anyone else. They have had 2 great seasons.
Characteristically, though, the double zero car, Freddie Smith can and will win races and do it from second and third. So he's still definitely a factor in this race. Bart Hartman, though, is pulling them around out of turn 3. We're looking at Freddie Smith on the screen here as we get ready to start rolling once again. Gary Stoller down there with the green flag. He's set to go. He tenses just before he raises the green flag. And Bart Hartman's past the cone. He steps in the gas, and away we go. The full speed is out there again. 2 action performance cars. The 18 car of Bloomquist in second, going around Freddie Smith. 3 wide as Ronnie Johnson stays to the low side. Now making a move with an equally prepared car by the same race crew, virtually now on top of the tail end of the 18 car. The 18 and the 5 car, of course, both Bloomquist cars. Freddie Smith sort of pushed out into the coal in turn 4 as they come down the front straightaway.
Ronnie Johnson just slips by the double zero, the crafty veteran Freddie Smith, to drop him back 1 more position. I tell you, looks like Wendell Wallace way up high and getting another challenge by another Arkansas driver, Johnny Burton, down on the inside.
Burton is on the inside of the 6M car of Wendell Wallace, but it looked like for a moment there Freddie Smith found his way back on the outside of turn 2 just before we went to this shot, and looked like he might be taking it back away from Ronnie Johnson. Now on the inside, here comes the 00 car right behind Ronnie Johnson, but Ronnie goes back to the high side, the same place Freddie was working when Johnson went inside him, but Johnson holds him as he comes out of turn 2 and keeps the momentum as the 00 car follows behind, slipping back just a little bit. Again, both working just a little to the low side. They're trying to put the metal together there, almost getting together nose to tail, but Ronnie Johnson stays just ahead of Freddie Smith, and Freddie Smith shows the great hands on the wheel of all that experience as he goes to the low side and holds him off.
We know this track's starting to develop its own personality right now as we see Bart Hartman really out front, but to start right in the middle of the speedway. The fast groove seems to be around this racetrack, right in the middle right now.
We're approaching the halfway point. We're between the third and a halfway through the race. Clint Smith has re-engineered his start and gone back to the front a little bit. He's gotten outside and back ahead of Ray Cook, who did get briefly ahead of him there for a while. Booper Bear is definitely going after it. Here's Kenny Merchant. Kenny Merchant has made tremendous strides to the front tonight, starting way back, I believe, in row 12. Now he's battling with Booper Bear, definitely one of the tough cases in all of racing in this part of the country, and doing a great job on the high side, holding his own, and doing it with a car that they just discovered today has been very badly damaged in the rear differential for the past couple weeks. Just driving them crazy, trying to figure out what's wrong with their setup. And inside, 3 wide racing with Bud McCool. Now there's Booper Bear back on the inside of the C28 car, and away they go into turn 3. Look out, here comes Booper, staying very strong. They're holding their own. They're parallel as they come through the turn. The speed shows as we look down the front straightaway, and here they go right by us at well over 110, almost 120 miles an hour. And look at Kenny Merchant. Hang on there as Booper Bear fights with him on the low side and now pulls and edges slightly ahead. It looks like he's going to take him, and it looks like the C28 car is about to relinquish, but here he comes back in turn 3, holding on ever so closely. Booper Bear doing a magnificent job of precision driving right on the inside. 32 car out there, the Hartley car, now finding one of the local battles going on right there, I believe, with Kenny Compton.
The 2 local drivers going at it. They're running in midway in the pack. The Scott Hartley car and Kenny Compton, the young 16-year-old driver. I'll tell you what, this gentleman's been around racing all his life. His grandfather owned a lot of race cars throughout the 60s and 70s. He grew up with racing. Racing is in his blood, in his veins. Kenny Compton in a great battle with Scott Hartley. Hartley on the outside, and another young, upcoming driver, Scott Hartley. 2
great young drivers, without question. A little bit of a almost momentary loss there. Something's happening on that track. About the middle of the front straightaway, there's some looseness. 32 did lose something. He just lost momentum. We saw him wobble a little bit there. Looks like a right rear tire maybe out there, Ashley.
Definitely a tough break for Scott Hartley, losing a tire here. I was a little surprised that he didn't move quickly on up into the front of the pack as well as he's run here at the 5/8 mile speed plant.
Can Bart Hartman continue to hold on to what looks like $15,000 in his hands so far as the HAV-A-TAMPA Dirt Racing Series is racing at West Virginia Motor Speedway? We'll come back to the United National Bank 100 in a moment after this message. The leaders in Bart Hartman, 75, of course, followed by Scott Bloomquist in the 18 car. That's definitely big news. Scott Bloomquist started in the second row on the outside at the start of the race. Freddie Smith in the 00 car, currently second to Scott in the points for the HAV-A-TAMPA Series National Championship. Started on the inside of Scott, but there's been so much going on in this race, it's hard to tell you that just by looking at these first 3 positions. But let's just say this, Bart Hartman has put on a show of speed here like you'll never see on too many other racetracks. The green flag comes back out, and he's underway once again. Here we go. Scott Bloomquist now working a little high, jerking it around into the low side of turn 2. And inside, Ronnie Johnson, or outside now, Ronnie Johnson's making a move on Freddie Smith. Looks like he's going to nail him down the back straightaway and gets a little extra speed, a little quick push there through turn 3. And coming back, 2 great race car drivers. Look at them just work their way through 4. And there he goes. Ronnie Johnson has managed to pull himself around the 00. That is a little bit of a surprise to me. As good as Freddie's car has been handling earlier, something is definitely going a little bit down the backside there for him.
Well, Ronnie Johnson's car seems to be working anywhere he puts it on the racetrack. It's like on a rim, on the inside, outside. We just seen him go around Freddie Smith down on the inside.
Knowing Ronnie Johnson, with the kind of luck he's had a little bit this year, he may be just a little afraid to show all he's got right now. And that may be why just now, as we reach near the midpoint, that he's begun to do that. We've got a car coming off on the back straightaway. It looks like he's slowing down. Might be bringing. We have a caution. That's what we were looking for. Apparently on the back straightaway, the Bart Hartman. It is Bart Hartman. Bart Hartman has come to a slowdown on the back straightaway. That causes consternation in every camp on the racetrack tonight. Bart Hartman has been the car to beat without a question. Now everybody's heart's palpitating and going a little wild, wondering maybe if they can now get a shot at this, because it's definitely belonged completely to Bart Hartman.
Well, the kid out of Zanesville, Ohio, pretty much had him covered here for the first half of this race. As something aboard that car going wrong as he came out of turn number 2 that time. It just came to some to stop, and the car slowly drifts down into the infield. Oh, man, tough break for Bart Hartman in that BAH Racing Engines car.
But apparently it's smooth sailing, and Scott Bloomquist is ready. He's in first. The green flag is out. It's Scott Bloomquist in a custom spot, races into turn 1 with the rest of the HAV-A-TAMPA Racing Series field racing behind him, all coming after the gold. The 00 car with Freddie Smith trying to keep Ronnie Johnson in the 5 car in his sights, but Johnny Burton behind him is also pushing up into the race.
Well, Trace, you've seen this before, the 18 car being chased by the 5 or the 5 being chased by the 18 many times this year. What usually happens?
Usually it's 1-2 at the finish. And oftentimes, or has so far every time this year, it's been Scott Bloomquist. Now, Ray Cook is still putting on quite a battle back there. He keeps coming back, as I say, after the restart. He gets a little heat in those tires, or loses a little heat, and he comes back and starts looking pretty strong. He's battling there for a moment, still chasing down Clint Smith. Johnny Burton in the 66 car, Pete, is still running pretty strong. He has not really gained anything over the last couple of laps, but he hasn't really lost anything either, and has made quite a show of himself moving up there.
A couple of local competitors there, Jeff Wood and Jason Manette. They're regular competitors here. Jeff Wood's picked up a couple of feature events. Manette, they're set fast time here, 4 weeks in a row at West Virginia Motor Speedway, so those guys definitely know their way around. Kind of unique that they to hook up together and be racing.
Ashley, you sounded just like Pete there for a minute. I'm not sure.
Well,
Bloomquist, look at him get in the middle there. Roll, trying to get in the middle of those 2 guys at the back. There's just no quarter in this man. He won't give up even when they're in front of him and at the back of the pack. He wants to keep winning every step of the way as he continues to push, with Ronnie Johnson now coming into the traffic with him and following him beautifully, drafting right down the straightaway together. Those 2 cars hooked up and flying. Here's Bloomquist now to the inside of the 34 car, making another move, and he takes him racing away on the back straightaway. And Booper Bears really got himself into trouble here now, as Lee J. Haddocks, the 98 car out of Ruston, Louisiana, working hard on the turn and cutting down just a little too quick, but not quite getting into the back end of Booper. Booper holding him off coming down the straightaway, but Booper's definitely got a battle on his hands as this young giant chases one of the more experienced race car drivers in America. Into the wall goes 21.
Jason Manette.
Jason Manette out there in turn 4. That will definitely bring out a caution. Well, as Jason finds his way back onto the track as the cars come past him here on the low side of turn 4, we'll take another break with a HAV-A-TAMPA Dirt Racing Series television coverage, and here once again from our great friends at Ford Commercial Trucks. More action on the way. Don't leave us. He's ready. Gary Stoller's ready. He's got the flag up. It's going. It's flapping away in the breeze, and away go the HAV-A-TAMPA Dirt Racing Series super fast cars, number 18, 5, and 00, all still battling in that top 3 spot. We've got a battle there with Freddie Smith, and he is definitely trying to get back into Ronnie Johnson.
Looks like we've got trouble with the 5 car, Ronnie Johnson, a left tire down. Looks like suspension problems on Ronnie Johnson's car. We'll check it as he enters turns, looks like 3 and 4 that time. Check that left front tire.
He's definitely got a problem with that left front tire. It looks like it's out of camber badly. And he's got Burton all over the back of him as they come out of turn 2. Now Wendell Wallace looking to the outside, maybe coming after him. There goes Johnny Burton. He's moved himself into second. Here comes Wendell Wallace trying to get around the Johnson car, also battling. For Johnny Burton, this is the highest place so far this year, other than a win early in the season. Here he comes. Ronnie Johnson still holding on, trying to keep that tire on the race car. Getting sideways. He's spinning out. Wendell Wallace trying to go around. He gets out just a tap on the wall, but that's it for Ronnie Johnson. Ronnie has lost that tire, is out of the race. This is it, folks. We're down to a real shootout here. As we look at the final 4 laps, Scott Bloomquist is going to determine his future in the next 4 laps. towards the win of $15,000 as they go flying by you here at West Virginia Motor Speedway. Freddie Smith sliding to the outside. Bloomquist is a rocket ship, just leaving everybody behind, going down the back straightaway. Tires still working great and plenty of power. Ronnie Johnson, what a story tonight, Ashley. Came back, got that tire put back on, and he's back in the race.
Boy, it's just an incredible driving style for him.
Here we go, lengthening his lead. Scott Bloomquist now a good 12 to 15 cars out front and diving out of turn 4. Hits the gas, goes after it again to the white flag. Scott Bloomquist 1 lap away as he pours himself through turn 1. Coming around, staying in the middle groove, picking up the rest of the racetrack, coming out of 2, accelerating again. It's Scott Bloomquist looking for win number 11 coming down the back straightaway. He is absolutely magnificent in the power and the control of his incredible race car. This Barry Wright chassis, this Cornet Ford engine coming to the checkered flag for the 11th time in 1996 with a HAV-A-TAMPA Dirt Racing Series. Let there be no doubt, here is the king. He's coming around. We're going to take a break. When we come back, we'll talk to the winner in the winner's circle, and that winner is Scott Bloomquist in the number 18 car tonight here at West Virginia Motor Speedway. The series champion, Scott Bloomquist, climbs out. He's won another one.
You could see early Hartman just really checked out on us and pulled away pretty good. And then the longer we ran, if we could get going and we'd start closing lap time-wise, we'd get a lot closer to him. And then at times then we got to run the same speed. And I felt like at the end of the race, we were running 3 or 4 tenths quicker than we were at the point when he dropped out. After him taking our points away a couple weeks ago, we're pretty happy. We're getting a few more points back. And, maybe we won't have any more problems.
We got to where we're spinning all the way down the straightaway, we feel like something froze up on the back or, I don't know what happened to it. I just never could get no side bite no more. We're just biding our own time there trying to finish the race, about all we was trying to do.
Freddie Smith finishes second here tonight behind Scott Bloomquist, who takes win number 11 at West Virginia Motor Speedway for the HAV-A-TAMPA Dirt Racing Series, followed in third by Johnny Burton and then fourth by Wendell Wallace, both Arkansas drivers battling beautifully there at the end. In fifth, it was Clint Smith, followed by Kenny Merchant in sixth, Ray Cook in seventh, and Bub McCool in eighth. In ninth, it was Ronnie Johnson after that valiant finish towards the end there. And in 10th, it was Lee J. Haddocks, followed by Kevin Claycomb. In 12th, Scott Hartley, followed by Kenny Compton, Jason Manette, and Jerry Summers. In 16th, it was Jeff Wood. 17th was Booper Bear. In 18th, it was Larry Bond. And in 19th, it was Bart Hartman, who absolutely controlled the race the first 50 laps. In 20th, Gar Dixon, followed by Davey Johnson, Skip Art, and Steve Warren and Andy Bond. Final 2 positions were Steve Schaefer and Michael Smith, who went out early in that crash.